Hi, Melissa. Welcome back.
Hi, Heather. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We are going to talk about dancer's pose today. So, we've had requests for like asana breakdown around dancer's pose, which is so cool because love me some dancer's pose, but also this is definitely a pose I see a lot of teachers struggle with or breeze over or are unsure how to cue well. And then they're unsure how to cue once they're, those finesse cues that we talk about. They're really unsure how to hold a student in the pose and what to say. So yeah, so we're gonna like give it away today. We're gonna give it all away today and go in deep with dancer's pose.
It sounds amazing because it is. It's an amazing pose, and there's so much to say about it, and there's so much to cue. But I think one of the pitfalls, I guess I'll use that word, pitfalls, is that when the teacher doesn't know what to say, they spend a whole lot of time like trying to set you up in terms of like turn your thumb to the back of the room, reach your hand
Right.
out behind you, reach your left if reach your left hand forward. Like and you spend a lot of time standing doing stuff with your hands when really what's happening in the pose is actually at center mass. It's in the center of your body. Hands and feet, it's the least interesting part of the pose.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Let's just give it to them. How would you cue someone into this pose? And then what are a few things you would say potentially based on what you were seeing while they were there?
So if we are going to give everything away on this pose, the
Everyone
foundational.
listening owes us $5.
Fair, fair.
Melissa, we're about to make $25.
Yeah. Everything, you have to, I think, understand first what's happening in the pose. If you can't break that pose down by joint action, the asana family that it's in, then you're going to struggle. And so this asks like being a yoga teacher requires a lot of work, and it requires hard work, and it requires deep dives into certain things. And so when you take a look at dancers, you have a standing pose, but you also have a standing pose that is a back bend. It's going to
Yes.
have those shared elements. So when you start on the standing leg, you have to have stability up one side of the body because it's a balance pose. You're balancing on one leg. So stability is going to be foundational in order for you to get to the expression of the pose. What I mean by that is a lot of times what the teachers are doing is it's like reach and kick. You're
Mm-hmm.
looking for this like, because it's also in some arenas called standing bow.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're pulling everything away, like you're stretching your front hand forward and you're kicking your back foot to the back of the room and up to where the wall and the ceiling meet. None of which is wrong. However, what's going to give us access to space, what's going to give us access to opening, a deeper back bend if that's what you want, is stability first. If you're not stable, you have no basis to play on. So that
Amen, sister.
standing leg and understanding what's happening in that standing leg is going to be foundational. The top leg, you're in a back bend. Dancers is it basically if you were to flip dancers on its back, like on the floor on its back, you're essentially in like wheel with the one leg lifted up into the air. So you have a back bend. So your leg needs to be in extreme hip extension and spinal extension. Your shoulder of the back arm is in extension. The shoulder of the front arm is in flexion. So you've got a lot that's happening. So when people are like, I don't know what to say, you have so much to say. There's so
Yeah.
much to say.
Yeah.
So understanding what needs to happen for someone to get into complete hip extension, right, is you need internal rotation of the thigh. If they are in external rotation of that back thigh, their ability to get into a deeper back bend or a more complete back bend is going to be limited. So that's a movement, right? That's a pattern that you want to understand. When now I'm on the standing leg. When the standing leg is locked, meaning that knee is completely straight, they
Hmm.
can't maneuver the pelvis. Any cue that happens at the pelvis, if you're cueing them to lock the knee, you're limiting what's happening in the upper body. So by that train of thought, if you have locked out the knee of the standing leg, you're basically limiting the cues that fall into anything that's happening in the upper body.
It's
So
so good.
and this is where it's like we're giving we're
You're welcome, world.
so for some people they're gonna reach back and they're gonna grab the inside of the knee. In order to get that
Of
for a
of
lot
the
of
foot?
the foot, thank you. I mean, I guess you could grab the inside of the knee, but traditionally it's grabbing
Yeah.
the inside of the knee, the ankle. In order to get there, what you wanna know is 9 out of 10 people, their knee is gonna have to splay out to the side. They're gonna have to go into external rotation of the front thigh just to make the catch.
Yeah.
Then, instead of cueing, so you've already got them reaching away from the center line because most of the time you cue the front hand first.
Right.
When you start to pull things away from the center line of the body, you destabilize the pose.
Yeah.
Right? So instead, rather than working at the extremities, you want to cue the hips. So what that means is when they catch the foot, you got to bring them back into center line first. And then I would be at their shoulder blades because in order a back bend, the power in your back bend starts with your legs. And then you also this back arm, you've got a lot of contraction that's happening through the back body in order to even just to make the catch. And so if you line of thinking, right? When the knee's locked out, you can't maneuver the pelvis. If
Mhm.
this elbow's locked out when you make the catch, you can't maneuver the shoulder blade. So
Right.
you've got to unlock the elbow. So pull your foot. That could be a cue. Pull your foot towards your head. At the same time, kick your foot into your hand. Now you've got tension, right?
Love
You've
it.
got tension here and you can shoot the center of your chest forward. This is my right arm. Pull your right shoulder blade in towards your spine. Sorry, right, left. Pull your right shoulder blade into your spine. Press your chest forward. Now you're talking about a back bend, right? Then
Mm.
for me, I love to practice dancers with my hand at center line.
You've had me doing that for, like, a year now, and it's my favorite.
'Cause I can get so what a lot of times what we
I like that it
categorize
gives me something to press into as well.
right? It gives you
Uh-huh.
proprioception,
Yep.
and it allows you right? It allows you to create stability through the center line of the body, which allow when you have that, you have the freedom to express out. I'm not
Mhm.
saying I never take my arm up, but it's once I get here where I'm like, "Okay, that's like this is limit, and this is my limit here. Now maybe I wanna reach up."
Yes, yes. It's like maybe it's I like that it becomes a if I want to.
Yeah. Versus if
Yeah.
I go here first, I'm all over the place.
I become like a bit of a seesaw. Yeah, yeah.
Well, no, it's left and right. At least you're going front and back. Because you'll see people set up for dancers because they're so conditioned before any, like the teacher will call dancers, the left hand goes up and
Arm goes right
forward.
up. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
I can't like because now I've got to backtrack on like soften your left
Mhm.
elbow, soften all of this so I can actually give you the tools for you to put in to have a more complete experience in this pose, which will allow you to get to your, for lack of a better word, full expression, the
Yeah.
expression that you want to have in the pose.
So good. It's so
And like,
good.
so that's the other, so for dancers in like a power vinyasa, we're not opening the hip, like moving into like Chapasana, unless you're transitioning somewhere. This pose is great, especially in a lot of because it's preparing you for your back bends. Like
Big
it's
time.
very much a simple to complex progression, getting you ready for a pose like wheel, if that's where you want to go. If you want to be playing in, other poses like king pigeon, mermaid, like it's a great prep pose. It's a great peak pose too. But for that, when you're using it in that way, one of the things that you want to do is work on helping people neutralize their pelvis. Because if their pelvis is kind of off kilter, usually it's going to be the hip of the standing leg is lifting up because you're cueing kick, 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 kick higher and reach higher,
Right.
reach higher.
Right.
So in order to get higher, they have to compensate for different movement patterns. So rather than having them do that, if you have them soften their standing knee, now you can have them drive the hip of the leg that's lifted, drive your hip down, soften your knee. If you would be surprised when you really I don't want to call it a deep bend, but if you kind of bend your knee, you're going to
Oh,
get more
yeah.
power up into that back leg,
Yeah.
which,
Big time.
and it's not so much where you're taking your leg. That power is actually helping you shoot your chest forward and up.
Forward. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so all of
So
these
good.
if you target all of these cues, then yeah, all of a sudden maybe your hand wants to flow up and you're like, whoop,
Whoop.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
coming from establishing stability first rather than when you cue hands and feet first, Is it quick and easy to get them into the pose? 100%. And, like,
Yeah.
it's the way that it's commonly cued, but it leaves a lot on the table for the student.
Yeah.
And what I mean by a lot on the table, I mean, like, experience, possibility in the pose.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
you're it's like you're cheating them of a great fun pose.
A huge experience. Yeah.
Yeah,
In their
because
bodies, which is the point, right?
right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's so good.
My brain went into, like, 14 different directions on dancers.
Oh, no, that's so it's so good. I mean, so you said Chapasana, so I'm gonna go there. I think, just for, like, the sake of the people listening, Chapasana could be, like, half moon with a bind, or I think some people call it sugarcane
Yep.
pose, right? Is that
Yep.
right? Yeah. Um, all the names that have evolved over time. We're very much of the me and you are very much like, "Sure, call it that, great." But, like, we're very un you and I are both very unattached.
Call
So
whatever makes you happy.
right, call you want great. So, from a sequencing perspective, where should this in general, where should we see this in a 60-minute group class?
I would put it close to the like, the peak of your class. It's got a lot of moving parts to it. 'Cause you just heard everything that could potentially be happening in the pose. I mean, there's more, but I think one of the things that I like about balancing these balance postures is
Mhm.
because it's giving you, like, real life skills. One of the things as we
Huge.
and this I mean, this sounds like, "Hey, Melissa," but, like, one of the things that's the what is the leading cause of death for geriatric population?
Yeah, falling.
Falling because they break their
Yes.
hip.
This is my
So
favorite thing about yoga is that it keeps us alive.
if for me as a teacher, if I can help people move better in their
Yeah.
life,
Yes.
and let's say so one of the ways that that can show up is I love sequencing where we have a block of standing balance poses where
Me too.
you're working, you are working on balancing because
Mhm.
then you've got some skills and I'm probably not going to point to it during class where like you're working on balance poses because it might save your life when you fall off a curve. Like I'm not
You
going to
might say that in a
I
class, actually.
100% might. I 100% might. Because this is it's kind of like this is what's at stake. Like if I give you those tools, like that's why I don't necessarily care if you're going to reach and kick. Because are you going
Right,
to reach and kick when
yeah,
you're falling off your stair?
right.
No. But if I can get you give you the ideas to like stabilize to the center line,
Mhm,
soften your knee so that you can have, free movement up at your pelvis.
right.
Maybe I can land something that like you're developing different skills to be able to balance to prevent that fall. So that
Yeah,
never has to be an issue. So
yes.
that's why I like a chunk of these balance. And that's where I like to put it is in like rather than throwing it like Warrior One, Crescent, and I'm not saying this is how it shows up, but sometimes you'll see in creative sequences, like it'll just get thrown into a standing series as a part of a creative
Yeah,
flow, which if you want to do that, I think the only thing I would say is like know your anatomy, know your movement
right,
patterns. Some things can be more intentional and smarter than others, but
right.
when you put dancers in a specific like standing sequence almost as a standalone thing because there's so much going on. What you want to keep in mind is if you put too many things in front of it, you're going to fatigue that standing leg, which is going to take away from the experience that they're going to have within that pose. So, what
Yes,
is it that you're trying to do with the pose? That was
right.
a really long answer for that.
No, that was so good. It was so good. I loved it. I loved it.
But to your point, like, it's not that there isn't some fun stuff to play with because you brought up Chapasana.
Yeah. No, there is. Okay, so this is a, like, might have to think about question for a moment. But if you think about when you first started teaching dancers pose versus when you teach it now, what is it that you wish that you knew about the pose when you were starting out as a new teacher?
Basically, everything that we just gave away.
Yeah.
No, because I was
Pick
a
one pick one thing for a new teacher to sort of, if they could hone in on focus on one thing to sort of up their game with dancers pose, what would you recommend?
can I have two?
I mean, I guess. No, jail. Yes, you can have 2.
It's speaking to the hips and shoulders. It's
Yeah.
not like I'm not saying you're not gonna cue the hands and the feet, but those are the least interesting and least effective cues that you're going to land in your students' bodies.
Yes.
And I think that if I had to pick one, it would be how to integrate their shoulders, shoulder integration. Because if I focus on the back bending aspect of this, I'm not creating a back bend at the hands. I'm creating it in the back body, which means I need to target shoulders, which also means I need to target hips, which is why I
Right.
wanted to. But I was 100% the teacher that was like, reach your left hand forward, turn your left thumb
Yeah.
back behind you, reach back, grab the inside of your
Oh,
ankle,
yeah.
hug your knees together, kick and reach. Like,
Yeah. Kick, push, reach, kick, kick. Bring your foot over your head. Eventually, you'll see it in the mirror or whatever, like, oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah. And
started there too.
if your leg's locked out and you're trying to like lift your chest higher, reach higher, they can't.
Yeah,
Because
and then you
you
wonder
can't.
why your students look really wobbly and angry? Yeah,
Totally. Totally.
yeah.
So that's what I wish I knew.
That's so good. If dancer's pose was a single person, who would it be?
I'm laughing because I'm like, I've got 2 in my mind and it depends on my mood. One's gonna be Natalie Portman, the other one is Taylor Swift and Shake It Off.
Yeah.
Most
I
of the
thought you were gonna be
time.
like, "It's me! I'm
No.
dancer's pose."
No, I am the least.
Neither you or I is dancer's pose. We're more you and I we give Tadasana vibes.
No, we give chair pose
We give
vibes.
chair pose vibes.
Groot.
If I had to pick chair pose and if you're listening, if this person is listening, and they might be, when I think of dancer's pose, I think of our 300-hour student, Connor. She is dancer's pose.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
100%.
amazing. Well, thank you for this and, all of your insanely useful knowledge. I am sure that our listeners will very much enjoy this episode.
I hope so. We might shake some stuff up there, but that's a good thing.
That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to do. If I'm not shaking things up, we're not doing our jobs. All
Love it.
right. Well, I'll see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.
Bye.